Happy Friday. Happy Friday. How are we all? How are we all doing? Let's get a few people in the chat. AJ Fury, the gift that keeps on not giving. Because we still ain't no sooner to getting this fight announced. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't know what the crack is with it. Like, even Calla Sauer in that picture is wary of this fight happening. You know? It's just crazy. What is this? Something on screen here. I just want this fight announced. Do you know that way? I just want to get this fight over the line and announced. I still do, for some reason, think we'll get this fight next. I want to know what the guys in the chat think. I want to know what all you guys in the chat think about this fight. I still, for whatever reason, think we're going to get this fight next. I just do. Just something's telling me we will get it. Like, I remember when AJ versus Wilder was being talked about, right? And obviously that started, 3 years ago this summer was when AJ versus Wilder was being talked about, right? And honestly, I could never see that fight happen. Now, obviously, I wasn't making videos when that fight was being talked about first. But I remember, like, listening to, people talk about it. You'd hear about all the rumors going on about this fight. I just got the feeling that fight was never going to materialize. I don't know why. I just always got the feeling that AJ versus Wilder was just, for whatever reason, never going to happen. But with this one, it's different. It just, for me, it was always like, yeah, no, this fight will happen at some stage. And I still think it will, but I don't know. When I say that, I mean, I think it'll happen next. I don't think we'll get any delays, but it's just like, what is going on? Why is it taking so goddamn long? What's the issue? Is it the site fees? Is it locations? It just, I don't know. I see the London mayor saying that he wants to see if they can get it in London or something like that. But I still think they want to do it in the Middle East. Because remember, I think they were talking about that long before anyway. 2020, taking more fights to the Middle East because of the site fees, because they're making so much more money. I mean, do you remember Eddie Hearn when AJ lost to Ruiz? And straight away on the IFL interview, he said, yeah, we have the rematch. It's in the UK. Like, there was no ifs or buts. Eddie Hearn was like, it's in the UK. But then the site fees came from, where was it, Saudi Arabia, and they brought that fight to Saudi Arabia. They weren't playing around with the UK. They were like, hang on a minute. Yeah, and they could have, believe you me, they could have sold out Wembley easily with that fight. Easily. But for me, Jesus, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, I just want to get this fight up. Like, this is such a good fight. You know yourself, when you hear about fights that are big, that are anticipated, a lot of times they can be stinkers or they can be anticlimactic. I was only, I don't think, was I even born when Eubank fought Ben in the rematch? I probably was, but I was probably only a kid. Might not have even, or I was probably only a baby. I don't remember what year that was in. But if I wasn't born, I was a baby barely. But people who I know who were older than me, who were around box at the time, said the hype for that fight was incredible. And it never caught fire, that fight, right? Mayweather versus Pacquiao, I kind of knew that would be a stinker. It wasn't a great fight. But a lot of people were so hyped for that fight. They were saying, oh, this is going to be a great fight. This is going to be this is going to be that. It was anticlimactic. This fight, because of the two guys in it, I can't see it being anticlimactic. I could see it being a great fight. I could see it having drama on both ends. I could see a case where the winner will have to pick himself up off the canvas, whether it be Fury or AJ. I think both guys can get dropped in this fight. I think that it just, for me, to be honest with you, right? For me, Wilder versus Joshua has more a chance of being a stinker if it had happened than this, because both guys would have been super cautious. Whereas this fight, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. But best believe, right, if this fight doesn't happen next, if for whatever reason it breaks down, I'm talking worst case scenario here, but if for whatever reason communication between the two break down and they decide, you know what, why don't we put it back until next year when we can get a proper venue, etc., then as far as I'm concerned, both guys have to take care of the mandatories. I won't like Usyk should be in there for AJ next if that's the case, and vice versa, Dylan White or Deontay Wilder possibly for Tyson Fury if the legal thing has to get stretched out. But I don't want to see Fury. If Fury says no, it's not happening, I'll take Ajay Kabayel instead. I'm like, no, 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 no. And the same with AJ. Like, I mean, AJ's had his warm-up fight, his stay busy fight. Get rid of your mandatories. Get rid of your mandatories so we're not hearing any of this, this about this, or would he vacate this? That's what I think if this fight doesn't happen next. I think that's worst case scenario because I genuinely believe it will happen next. I'm convinced it's going to happen next, but it's just a worry when you start hearing these kind of things. Man, like it's just, I want this to happen next. I really, 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 really badly want this fight to happen next because I think it's just a great fight. And it's like I just said there, I don't think this fight has the recipe to be a bad fight. I think this fight has good fight written all over. I don't think you could get a bad fight with these two guys in there. I really don't. I think just the styles would be good. I think that both guys are, what's the word? AJ, we know, doesn't take the best shot in the world. When he opens up, he takes a little bit of time to recover. Fury, someone like AJ who is good up close, because AJ is actually quite good on the inside, could cause Fury a good few issues. AJ's physical strength. AJ's very physically strong. Even if he's coming in a bit lighter, he is still very physically strong. There's just so much good in this fight. That's why I'm just wanting to get this fight over the line so much. Why are you convinced Eddie really struggles to get them big fights over the line? Well, I'm convinced because both guys seem to want it. Right? Both guys want this fight. Both guys are seemingly willing to take this fight. Both guys are seemingly saying that, let's do this. The worry is that you're hearing John Fury say certain things. You're hearing other things from other people as well. And you're just starting to think, like, will this fight happen? In terms of Eddie not getting fights over the line, lots of promoters haven't got fights over the line. Like, you look at Frank Warren. I think a lot of people said one of the main reasons Billy Joe left him was because he couldn't get some of his fights over the line. So it's like that. Not every promoter is going to get every single fight over the line. It just happens. Communications break down. The Wilder situation was not AJ's fault. As far as I'm concerned, the Wilder situation was not AJ's fault. That was more what Team Wilder just not wanting it for whatever reason. They didn't want to fight on the zone. They thought they could make it just the Wilder situation. I can see kind of why they wanted obviously 50-50. And they obviously thought that taking a fight against Fury would be an easy win. In retrospect, you can say this is probably what they were looking at. So if they went and beat Fury, they could turn around and say, I'm lineal. I beat Fury on pay-per-view. Now let's do 50-50. Obviously, retrospectively, that didn't happen. And, we're in the situation we're in now. But that is what that is. Big up to Shady. Big up to you, man. Oh, yeah. Big up to Rich. Big up G-Man every time. Yeah, big up to you, man, every single time. Big up to Nick. Big up G-Man and the whole chat. Decorate my house, so listening on loudspeaker. Yes. Decorate the house. Have me going in the background. Get you through the decorate. Get you through the spring cleaning. Get you through all that. Big up to Nick every time. Smash the like button on the way in. Support the channel. Lads and lasses, if you could, smash the like button, please. If you could, give us, smash the like button. If you could. Oh, I seen that. I see Char versus Lovejoy is happening. I will do a video on that. I'm probably going to do a video on that. Lovejoy has a special place on this channel. Lovejoy has a place on this channel. And I'll probably do a video on that talking about it because Lovejoy, I just laugh. I hope that fight happens. Knowing what Lovejoy is like and knowing his history, it probably won't. But I like Lovejoy has a place on this channel. He's just, big up to Lee. Hashtag every single time. Every single time. I need a new hashtag, but I don't know. I don't even say every single time that much. Or do I even? I haven't even said every single time other than that in this stream. So I don't know. I don't know if that would work every single time. Hashtag nah, I'm sure we could find another one. I have to think of a new hashtag. We have to get another one. Big up to Joey. It has to happen. Big up to Alan. I hope Shannon gets knocked out tomorrow. I'm gunning with Ebony all the way. I'm actually looking forward to watching that fight. I think that fight's actually going to be entertaining. If both girls come forward, I think Courtney is her speed is going to be interesting, but I definitely think Bridges is the harder puncher. So it's going to be interesting. I don't have a lot of time for Shannon Courtney. Personally, I really hoping Ebony Bridges wins by any means, to be honest with you, whether it's knockout or not. I don't have a lot of time for Shannon Courtney at all. And like, it's been fun. I mean, I'm going to watch that. I'll probably even do a review of it. But I tell you what I'm looking forward to most. If Ebony Bridges knocks Shannon Courtney out, Tyann Boot is going to have an absolute field day with that video. Him and about 3 bottles of Echo Falls. He is going to have an absolute field day with that. And that's going to be worth the wait. Was never confident it would happen until next year with a big gate, if at all. Don't say it like that, man. Don't say if at all. No, we want this fight to happen. We want this fight to happen, man. We definitely do. The fight is for the English crown. Oh God. Yeah, no, I seen the news today. I seen that. Big up to George. Salute to G-Man. Big up to Liam as well. Every just take a step back and think 2 people getting paid about 50 million each with promoters and managers, etc., making a fortune out of it to box for 36 minutes and still can't happen. Madness. Yeah, like there's a lot going on, man. I just don't know at this stage. At this stage, I've just kind of given up. I'm just kind of letting things flow. Like, I'm gonna do a separate video, just have a little chat about it, give my kind of 2 cents on it. But God Almighty, it's just crazy. And you see, the thing is, right? I genuinely, at one stage, probably the middle of February, was starting to really believe that at the White Povetkin show, we'd get this fight announced. Because I just kind of thought everything is seemingly good to go, that this fight is actually going to take place. And I remember thinking to myself, logically, you'd announce a big fight like this at a big show. So if we're looking at July, still have plenty of time till July. Make no mistake, there's still a lot of time to come. But it is just, oh man, I really hope it's starting to. I don't want to say it because I don't want to put any negative spin on this, but it is starting to make you think. It is starting to make you think. It is starting to make you think. If it doesn't happen now, it won't happen because Usyk beat AJ. Usyk is going to be a problem for AJ. Usyk is going to be a problem for AJ. I'm telling you now. Usyk is going to be a very, very big problem for AJ. I'm telling you now. I think Usyk, with his movement, with his speed. Someone said I think it was on my Sunday stream, that Usyk's trying to bulk up for heavyweight. And I really hope that's not true. I really hope that is just a bit of rumor, because Usyk, at the weight he's at now, which is in the 2 teens, the high 2 teens, is perfect for him. And I think that if he puts on an extra 10 pounds of muscle, or just say for argument's sake, he puts on that much weight, it's not going to benefit him at all. In fact, it's probably going to take away a bit, because his mobility won't be as good, his movement won't be as good, his speed won't be as good, his stamina might not be as good, carrying extra muscle that his body is not designed to carry. So I really hope that's not the case. I really do. I hope Usyk is... I said in that live stream as well that I think Usyk is trying to cover up a couple of the injuries. And what I mean by that is not necessarily cover them up, but putting muscle on in certain places to help preserve it, because Usyk's been quite badly injured over the last few years. You remember he had that bicep injury, which was pretty much ruled him out of most of 2019 and the end of 2017. Like, you remember, he was meant to have a fight in, I think, April 2019 against Takam. That got scrapped because of an injury. And then he had the Spunk fight, which I think it was a drugs test that Tyrone Spong was reported to have failed. But Usyk's been injured. He's been hurting a few things. He's been injuring himself a bit lately. So I reckon maybe the weights he's doing is in order to kind of get on top of that injury, so as though to prevent it from reoccurring. I think it was the bicep's been giving him the most bother. I believe it's the bicep anyway. I know that was the one that had him out of the Takam fight. So fingers crossed that's what it's all about, and he's not trying to put on any unnecessary muscle, because I've never understood it. I've never understood why fighters, when you look at a fighter like Usyk, and I'm sure he knows his strengths as well, that your strengths are you're faster, you've got better movement, you got better mobility, you're more fluid, your stamina is better. You have all that because you are a set way, a certain way. Your body is this way. You have all that because of this. If you start lifting unnecessary weights, overinflating your body, you're taking all that away. And surely you'd have to know, surely you'd feel that in your own self. Why would you do that? Why would you knowingly and willingly go and try and do that? I hope that's not the case. And I hope, as I said, it is just maybe him covering up for an injury, or not trying to cover for an injury. That's the wrong word. Trying to put a bit extra muscle on to prevent himself from re-injuring. You know, I think it was the bicep. I really hope that's the case. No, I don't think it's going to happen. How many times has Fury said he's going to fight someone for it not to happen? Yeah, that is a good point, actually. You know, he should have fought Caballero in December. Really, they had plans. Do you remember that card when that was originally being talked about? It was going to be Fury Caballero, Arthurs versus Yard on the undercard, and Conlon versus Dogbay. That would have been a good card. 3 good fights. That would have been a good card. That would have been a good card. I think the holdup is over venue. It could potentially be that. You see, I'm wondering, are they being told there's money here and then there's not, or whatever it is? It's a bit all over the place. If Fury outboxes Joshua, it'll be a long night. I can see Fury doing a bit of both. I can see him maybe starting off on the back foot, but maybe if he feels like AJ is every bit Fury is better on the back foot. That's fair to say. But if he feels like it's getting a bit too close, he may implement some of the styles he was doing against Wilder. He may wait until AJ is sufficiently weakened by that stage to do it, because he obviously felt confident enough to do it to Deontay Wilder early. Maybe he wouldn't feel as confident to do it to AJ. So we'll need to see how that goes. If Fury can outbox AJ, correct? We don't know. We don't know. I think it'll happen next also. This is just pre-fight hype. I hope you're right. And it is just a bit of pre-fight hype. It's just a bit to, ruffle the feathers, get people talking, kind of stuff like that. That's what I'm hoping it is. I really am hoping that's what it is. I'm hoping it's maybe just a bit of selling on the part of Team Fury, or selling all the way around in order to get this fight over the line. That's what I'm hoping for. Seriously, that's what I am seriously hoping for. I don't think it'll happen. Fury will probably fight a nobody, then retire. I really don't see it happening. I'd be very surprised if that happens. Jesus, I'd be very surprised if Fury just took a fight against, say, Caballero or Takam and then called it quits. I couldn't see that. Like, that's a scenario I just can't see. I definitely think out of the two, Fury is the one who is nearing the end sooner. And I'm not talking about, his time as a top level fighter, but I definitely think that Fury, whenever this fight ends, so like say they have the 2 fights, he'd be more inclined to say, I've had enough. Whereas AJ would probably carry on. AJ said himself, another 5 year, another Olympic cycle, essentially, is what he said. So we'll need to see how that goes. Fury don't want it. I doubt that. I think Fury does want it. I think there's several reasons. I think there's a few things. I don't know exactly, but I definitely think Fury does want it, but it's a head scratcher. It really is. Usyk beats AJ, in my opinion. So better hurry up and get the Fury fight done. You see, that's the thing as well. Like, I mean, I've said this before about heavyweight boxing. It is one of them divisions where if you are looking at making a fight, you want to make it, because you just don't know what can happen in heavyweight boxing. You look at some of the other weight divisions and you often think to yourself, right, you could see, for argument's sake, like, I don't know, just around, you could see Spence versus Crawford. Let's just say they were talking about having that in a year's time and it was signed and sealed. They both had 2 interim fights. You could still see that fight happening, because you don't tend to see big upsets in like welterweight or like lightweight stuff like that. You don't tend to see it. Heavyweight boxing is so unpredictable. Like you go into one fight and you think, right, get this fight out of the way, you move on to the next, and then something happens. Something just out of nowhere happens. Like look at Tommy Morrison when he was meant to fight Lennox Lewis originally. He fought Michael Bent. It was Michael Bent, wasn't it? Yeah. Or was it? Or was it Ray Mercer? No, it was Michael Bent. He fought Michael Bent, and Michael Bent was never that good. Like he was shot when he actually turned pro. Michael Bent, I think, was knocked out in his pro debut. And he went in there against Michael Bent, he got knocked out. It can just happen. It could just happen. Like Lennox Lewis was meant to fight Riddick Bowe, or there was talk of him fighting Riddick Bowe before he got knocked out by Oliver McCall. Riddick Bowe, I think, was in talk over fighting Lennox Lewis before he had those two fights, those two very, very tough fights against Galata. That's heavyweight boxing for you. It can just change like the weather, just unpredictable like that. Shout out to Graham Taylor every time. Eddie gets more big fights over the line than most. That's true. He definitely does. Ebony Bridges is good looking. She is, man. Holy shit. Holy shit. She is, I get it. Definitely. Fury All Mind Games fight could be announced tomorrow. I doubt that it'll be announced tomorrow, but Fury is definitely All Mind Games. Definitely. Everything Fury does is mind games. That's 100% right. Fury All Mind Games. Oh, I think I read that already, man. I'm sorry. I had to click on this. Fury's ego. He hates what Joshua got. I remember at one stage they were very, I don't know about now, but I remember back years ago, they were always very, they just used to they still do to an extent, but I remember they used to just give AJ no credit whatsoever. I mean, I remember before Martin, they were picking Charles Martin to beat AJ. I think Fury even put down money on it. And then, what was it? They were saying that Martin was never that, he this, that, and the other. It's crazy. T.O., give us a wave, G-Man. Give us a wave. Big up, man. There's your wave. There's your wave, mate. I actually got a new laptop coming, which I'm looking forward to getting, actually, because I got the camera on this is shit. Absolutely crap. That's why I don't leave it on. The camera on it is crap. So I got a new laptop, new camera. Hopefully it'll arrive by the end of the month. I got a Mac. I got a MacBook Pro. Because I don't know. I'll just try it out and see how it goes. But I got a new camera for that as well, webcam. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it's good. Big up to Fleva. I hope I'm saying that name right, mate. Greetings from Zimbabwe. See that? Zimbabwe. That is crazy. Man, literally. That's one thing I don't do enough of, is I don't look at it. Because I can see, obviously, on my analytics where people are from when they watch my videos. And I never look at it. And I actually wonder where they are, because I'm sure they're from all over the place. I'm sure they're from all over the shop. Probably from all parts of the world. I've had loads of people comment to me and say they're from this place, but I know where Zimbabwe is. It's in Africa. It's in the southern kind of region of Africa. For those who say I don't know geography, I'm sure Zimbabwe is in the southern kind of more region of Africa. I think it's near Botswana. I think. Could be wrong about that, but we'll see. Billy Joe said in his Instagram, there's no UK press conference allowed at his fight because of the Rona. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. 70,000 fans that were going to be in attendance in Texas. That is going to be fun. That is going to be fun to see. That is going to be a good atmosphere, because Canelo fans are lively, and that's going to be a fun little atmosphere. Apart from a few fights, you forget what it's like to have a lively crowd. I mean, like, there was a couple of fights on in Russia where they had attendance. I think they had full attendance. But even prior to 2020, whenever you watch the card in Russia, the fans always tended to be very quiet anyway. Eerily quiet. I remember watching a couple of Povetkin's fights back in Russia, and they were eerily quiet. Back, he hasn't fought in Russia in a couple of years now, but they were eerily quiet for a lot of them fights. It really is quite. It's something that you don't get used to. It's different when you're doing the behind closed door shows, but when you're seeing an actual attendance there, and it's just really quiet. You're just like, what the fuck? That is weird. Billy Joe Saunders to lay down and collect his paycheck. There's one thing I'm telling you now. There's one thing I'm telling you now. He is not going to go and lay down. I'm telling you now, he is in good shape. He is going to give Canelo a tough fight. I'm telling you that now. I'm not picking him to win. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I'm not picking him to win. I think Canelo's too skilled. I think his combination punching is too good. His body attack's going to be lethal. But I think Billy Joe is definitely going to take rounds off him. Definitely. And he is going to give Canelo a tough night's work in there. So now I'm not saying he's going to win, but he's definitely going to have a tough night's work in there. Definitely. When do you think they will? When do you think is the latest time they can announce the Fury AJ fight? It kind of all depends, right? It kind of all depends when it's going to be. So I'm of the belief we're looking at July time. So you would say if it's in July and they can get it over the line, could potentially be on the Parker Chisora card. Potentially, can't say that. I can't say that for a fact, but potentially it could be around then. I don't think they're just going to announce it out of the blue, like do a Sky Sports announcement or anything like that. I think they're going to make sure that it's at an event. So, like, for example, like I go back to AJ versus Klitschko. Klitschko was there in attendance in Manchester when AJ fought Molina. As soon as that fight ended, Eddie Hearn in the ring, the first thing he says is, here's the time, here's the date, AJ Klitschko. So all eyes were on that fight at that specific time. So we knew, right, save the date, we're getting this fight now. That's what we knew. So we were like, right, we're getting this fight. That's what it is. For big fights, they tend to do that. Canelo, Golovkin, you are next, my friend, when he beat Chavez Jr. So they're the kind of times they do it. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's kind of when they're going to do it. So that's my thoughts on it. And that's when I think they're going to do it. That's when I think they're going to announce it. And because again, like for me, I just can't envision them just announcing it willy-nilly out of the blue, be like, oh yeah, here's the fight. There you go. They're going to build to it. They're definitely going to build to it. Where are we? Of course, traveling around the world, there'll be concerns. Yeah, like it's not as straightforward these days, unfortunately. It definitely ain't as straightforward. Like look at me, like I'd love to be able to go away, but there's just too much stuff that going on, Big up to E Machine. Big up G Man. You still think AJ Fury will still happen next? I will be absolutely disgusted if they went their separate paths. Well, if they go their separate paths, mate, they need to fight their mandatories. They need to fight. No staying busy and shit. They need to fight who's put in front of them. They definitely do. They need to fight. AJ needs to fight Usyk. Fury needs to fight White or Wilder. That's what I'm thinking. I hope to God it does happen next. I believe it will. Genuinely believe it will happen next. But it's just there's just you hear like you get upbeat 1 minute when you hear both parties have signed the contract, and then you start hearing side fees, then you start hearing this, then you start hearing that, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? Is it happening? Yay or nay? That's kind of what I want to see. And I still believe, mate, it'll happen next. I just believe it will. But God knows when we're going to get the announcement. The longer, look, if we don't get an announcement some stage in May, it's not happening in July. It's going to be later on than that. Because you think May would be sufficient enough time to announce it and get it ready. I mean, like Canelo and Billy Joe, we're talking, what, little over 2 months before they announced that fight. So you're talking about roughly 2 months. So if it's not announced some stage in the early May, you would imagine that time will elapse. As big fights like this, they tend to give a good 2 months, 2 or 2 and a bit months before, the fight happens, to promote it sufficiently to get as much publicity as they can behind it. Obviously a bit difficult now, but they tend to try and do that. So that's what I'm thinking. Usyk will control distance all night against AJ. Yeah, I'd make Usyk favorite over AJ personally. I I think that stylistically Usyk would have a. I think stylistically Fury would have a very tough time with Usyk as well. I think imagine a mover like that, and Usyk could do that for 12 rounds. It'd be a tough ass for Tyson Fury as well. Seriously, Usyk shouldn't go above. Yeah, Crazy D, you're absolutely spot on. He shouldn't go above 220. I think 220 is the limit for Usyk. I think if you go above that, that's when you're going to start to see him have a few little issues. I suspect, like I said it once, I'll say it again. I think it's just the fact that he probably has some, not injuries per se, but he's probably worried about exasperating some of the injuries he's had. So maybe he's thinking of adding a little bit of extra muscle onto it. So that's what I think. I'm hoping he's not trying to bulk up. Someone did say he's trying to bulk up. I hope that's not the case, because I don't think it'd benefit Usyk in the slightest. I think it would hinder him. It definitely would. I don't think the judge will give Usyk the decision. He will have to knock AJ out. You see, that's the problem with AJ, is that he'll always get favoritism from the judges. Like, I couldn't believe one judge, was it one or two? I think it was one. One judge had him ahead of Klitschko by a good margin. I mean, I watched that fight live. I wasn't there, but I watched it with my friend live. I had Klitschko well ahead. I've rewatched it a few times. I had Klitschko well ahead. I don't know how you could have scored that fight. You could have given AJ rounds, definitely. Obviously, the round he knocked Klitschko down. But to have him so far ahead going into that 11th round, I was shocked. The Parker fight was much closer than the scorecards were. He didn't win, Joseph Parker, but it was closer than 119, 109. I think they all scored at that. He won more rounds than that, definitely. So AJ always has the favoritism from the judges. He's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. So that's the problem. You really need to put him down a couple of times. You really do, in order to get the decision over him. It'd be tough ask. It'd be a very tough ask. Or you'd need to be equally as well backed in terms of your promoter, etc., etc. Fury has Bob Arum, Frank Warren looking at it. He'll be all right. But Usyk has, what was the guy's? I can't remember the guy. His name always slips my mind. The K2 representative, anyway. His name, God Almighty. No, it's gone. Personally, you don't think we'll get AJ versus Fury? They want to at least give us White Wilder. Yeah, like, I like that fight, White Wilder. I do. I think Deontay Wilder still wins. I'd still make him favorite. I would. I'd still make him favorite to win that fight. I just think stylistically Dillian Whyte plays into his strengths. No, I really do. I really do. It's funny how everyone thinks Usyk beats AJ but couldn't do it with Chisora. Well, to be fair, like, I think Usyk done a very good job with Chisora. I think he was a bit taken aback in the first couple of rounds. But after he was able to adjust, I thought he done a good job with Chisora. He outboxed him. He done a good job. He buzzed Chisora a few times in there. I think Usyk done a fine job with him. And at the end of the day, I think I've said this in my post fight at the time. I've said it several times. AJ won't come out like that. AJ wouldn't be able to. AJ doesn't fight like that. I don't think he would fight like that against Usyk. He'd try and make it a boxing match with Usyk. That might favor Usyk. So you have to look at it from that. Like, I mean, someone like Chisora coming out like he did, like a bull in the china shop. AJ's not, and trying to rough Usyk up as much as he can. AJ isn't going to do that, and I don't think AJ has the stamina to be able to do that. So I look at that as kind of an isolated fight, and I just think, no, that's not. Someone said it in the comments there, Klimas. Thank you. For some reason, I always think it's something else. I don't know why. I always get his name wrong. Klimas is Usyk's representative with K2. I always struggle with that name. It's not even the pronunciation of it. It's just remembering what it is. Because it's actually one of the easier names to pronounce. But it's just, for whatever reason, that name always slips my mind. Klimas. I thought it was some... Oh, stop that name. Usyk will box clever against Adrian B. Bourne. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine it's going to exactly, it's going to catch fire, to be honest with you. But... hey, if he wins the belts, what does he care? Clean out the cruiserweight division and only took 5 fights max to do the heavyweight. Yeah, Usyk is a very, very talented fighter. There's no two ways about it. He is one of... I've always loved watching Alexander Usyk. He's always been one of my favorite fighters to watch. And if he does do... I've always expected him to do something at heavyweight, but if he does and he ends up beating AJ, holy shit, And I think he can. Personally, I'm not going to say he's going to clean the division out. I think there are guys who can beat him. I think him against Parker is an interesting fight, very interesting. If you could, lads, by the way, as Tio says there, hit the like button. It's free. I'm just reading the comment. I'm just reading the comment for anyone it is, though. And Joe Stunner, big up to you, man. How are you? How are you keeping, my man? I hope you're all well. How are we all? I'm all right. I'm quite good. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Big up to you every time. Putting on muscle to gain an advantage, probably the most heavily misunderstood thing about boxing. Yeah, boxers should stay well away from such amateur trainers. You know what, right? It really is so misunderstood, because you look throughout like boxing and you've seen fighters put on a lot of muscle. Like, I remember years ago, oh Jesus, I'm talking 6-7 years ago, I remember reading articles on boxers who put on a lot of weight and it did nothing. There was an article about Shannon Briggs when they said that he went from, in the 90s, that when he went from 220 to like 250, and it did no difference. If anything, it actually made him worse. I think that people just look at themselves and they just think, right, I need to be heavier. The heavier I am, the harder I punch and the better I'll be. And, some people, like Dave Allen used to say, oh, I'm stronger at these weights when I'm heavier. And it's like, what do you mean you're stronger? You could be weak because you lost the weight the wrong way. But if you've done it the right way, you could feel even better. You could be hitting harder at the lighter weight. You could be 10 times the fighter at the lighter weight. You might feel stronger now because when you've done it the last time, like say he weighed like 230 something, and he's like, I'm stronger at 250. It's like, well, how'd you lose the weight to get to 230? Did you do a crash diet? Because you're obviously going to feel weak if you've done a crash diet. But if you do it the right way over a prolonged period, your body will settle into it better and you'll feel a lot stronger and you'll probably perform better. But if you go and do a crash diet and lose it, obviously you're going to feel like shit. You name me someone who doesn't feel like shit when they do a crash diet. They're obviously going to feel like shit. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of a fighter who has put on a hell of a lot of weight, more so heavyweight, and been better, like a harder puncher. I know Bellew, when he went from light heavy to cruiser, was noticeably hitting harder, but he was badly drained at light heavyweight. He was very badly drained at that weight. He was a heavyweight as an amateur, which is cruiserweight in the pros. But I'm just trying to think of a fighter who's really put on a lot of muscle or a lot of weight and has improved. You could probably say Jarrell Miller, but we know what that was about. So I can't really think of many. I'm just trying to think who really benefited themselves for putting on a lot of weight. I'm struggling here. I suppose you could say, no, I was going to say Gassiev, but he's only had one fight at heavyweight. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to think of someone who put on a lot of weight and was, significantly better. It's bizarre. Yeah, but shout out to Graham. Oh, Randy's dropped. You gotta go. To my brother is coming over. Big up to you, man. No, big up to you. Glad you dropped by. Hope you enjoyed it. And we keep it going. We'll keep this one going for a while. Thoughts on Tony Yoka? I like Tony Yoka, and I do rate him. I do think he's a good fighter. He's a good prospect. They're talking about he's meant to be fighting soon, isn't he? I seen someone announce a fight for him, but I can't remember who it was. They're talking about bringing him to world level. Think that's a bit soon. Needs more time with Virgil Hunter. Definitely needs more time with Virgil Hunter. He is a good shout. His jab is on point. He moves quite well. He does look a bit like, he's obviously nowhere near as good, but he does look a bit like a heavyweight Andre Ward there sometimes. He's a very good jab. Definitely hits hard. Definitely does hit hard. There's a few questions there. In the amateurs, he didn't exactly deal well with pressure. And he's not really fought any real pressure fighters as of yet. The last guy he fought was better than advertised. I'd say that, though. I forget the guy's name, but he was definitely better than advertised. There's a lot of good with Yoka, but I think he needs more time. He is still quite young. He's only about 28. I know he seems like he's been around for years, but he's only about 28. There's still a lot more of time left there with Yoka. Fury is still young. Yeah, you forget that these guys are still in their early 30s. It's not like they're at the end. It's not like they're in their mid-30s. Any word or Spencer Crawford? Both haven't fought in months. Not much word. Thurman hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. Yeah, Thurman's really bugged me. I used to rate Keith Thurman so highly. Like if I was doing videos in 2016, you'd probably call me a Thurman fanboy. Seriously, if I was doing videos in 2016, 2017, you'd be calling me a Keith Thurman fanboy. I used to really, really rate Keith Thurman, used to watch him a lot, used to love what he did. It just seems like the hunger went specifically after he fought Danny Garcia, because he had that great fight with Sean Porter, and that was a hell of a fight. I actually remember at the time scoring that fight for Sean Porter. When I really watched it, it was Thurman. Thurman won it, but it was close. Then he had his fight with Danny Garcia, and then it just seemed like the hunger just left. You know, he did the 2 years out of the ring. He talked about, 2 fights in a year is too many. It just, with Thurman now, it's just like, ugh. It just, I wouldn't be surprised if he fights Crawford next. Seriously, if they gave him enough money, he probably would. But yeah, Thurman after 2017, to me, the injuries started piling up, seemed to lack a bit of the hunger, and that was that. I remember when Keith Thurman went into the ring and did a face-to-face with Danny Garcia. That was after Garcia fought Vargas, actually. He was fighting Ben tomorrow. And he looked like, do you ever see the Kingpin from Spider-Man? What was his name? Wilton Fisk, the Kingpin. That's what Thurman looked like. He was in this big suit and he was just bursting from the scene. And ever since then, it's just been like, well, has the hunger's been there, but not for boxing. Not for boxing from Keith Thurman. Yeah, I used to rate Keith Thurman so highly. He is still a good fighter, but it just, I don't know if it's the hunger's there anymore. I don't know if the hunger's there anymore. Big up to Limo. Evening G-Man and bless the chat. Don't think AJ Fury will happen. Fury goes and AJ gets his mind undisputed title. Big John talks talk, but don't think he walks the walk with this one. It's very hard to say, mate. I really still believe we'll get this fight this year, but do you know what the funny thing is, right? Eddie Hearn or Sky could announce something tomorrow or the next day. Well, it might not be the fight, but they'll announce progress or something like that. And all of a sudden, we'll be making videos about or talking about, oh, this fight's pretty much good to go. What were we ever worrying about? It just changes like the weather, AJ Fury at this stage. I never believe a word Fury says. Yeah, he is very economical with the truth, Joe. I'll give you that. He definitely is. It's very hard to take what he says serious sometimes. Very hard. Not least because I'm convinced he doesn't have, he himself doesn't have of what he says. He's got the ramblings of mentality of someone who's very emotionally erratic. Yeah, Fury's always been like that. And Fury's always been so economical with the truth. It's not even funny. I mean, like he said, like I wonder, like remember when he said he'd give his purse to charity and stuff like that? He's always been very out there with some of the things he's been saying, and yeah, like he always has been economical with the truth. Even when he was on, his hiatus, he'd always be saying, oh, I'm coming back, or I'm retiring, I'm this and that. It's just all over the place, Remember, he did retire at one stage, and he was like, I'm retiring undefeated, and then that lasted for all of a month before he was, I'm coming back, and I might be fighting on, remember he said he'd fight on Billy Joe's undercard, and he was like 400 pounds at the time. It's just crazy. You mean the low blow DQ fights, right? Yeah. They were the low blow DQ fights. They were the Bo fights where Bo got absolutely smashed. But Galata did what he always does. He loses in a fight you should win. The first fight was better than the second fight. Bo was better in the first fight. And they done the first fight over 12 rounds and the second one over 10. I never understood that. Now, I haven't seen both fights in a while. I know there was the tail. HBO did the tail of that fight, actually, which is, those documentaries are always very good. I haven't watched any of them in a while, but they're always good to watch. But yeah, Galata, Jesus Christ, I don't know how he did it, but Bo was better in the first fight. But Bo, by then, was pretty much at the end. And Bo was only, 28, 29 when that happened. He really didn't live the life, did Riddick Bowe, one thing about Bo, like I love Riddick Bowe. He's one of my favorite fighters, but he made a Bo had so much talent, but he had a very poor defense. Like you go and look at his fight with Michael Dokes, and that was a shot to pieces. Michael Dokes shouldn't have been in the ring, but even then, Michael Dokes was able to land like silly shots that Bo shouldn't have been getting hit with, but he was still getting hit with them. So Bo's defense was always very, very bad. And that's one reason why I always felt Lennox Lewis would win. It's a good fight, but I just think that Lewis was just more accurate and would have just found Bo. He would have found a home for his jab on Bo. And look, don't get me wrong, Bo was fantastic. He could punch, he could fight in the inside, he could fight in the outside. When he was in shape, if you got Bo fully focused and fully in shape, oh, he was useful. But it's just that defense was always a worry for Bo. That was why I've always thought Lennox Lewis would have beaten him. It would have been a great fight, and I'm sure Bo could definitely have won. In fact, he definitely could have won. Same with Mike Tyson. He could have beat Mike Tyson as well. I think I would be more confident picking him to beat Tyson than Lewis, but I just always felt that this lack of defense was always an issue. That's why I always think Lennox Lewis would have beaten Riddick Bowe if they fought in the 90s. It's a shame we didn't see that fight because it was a great fight. Would have been a great fight. 1 point, yeah, it's true. You see the Courtney Bridges face off. Courtney looked rattled. Talking of which, yeah. No, Ebony Bridges is pretty as hell. She is. Yeah, I think that Shannon Courtney, I don't know. I don't know if she's happy at all with what's going on. I think she seemed more settled when it was Rachel Ball, if you know what I mean. Like when she thought she was going to be fighting Rachel Ball, she seemed a little bit more settled. Maybe because Bridges just comes across as a laid back kind of character. She's pretty cool. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe she's a little bit rattled, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going with Ebony Bridges all the way. If you want my actual prediction, I will say Ebony Bridges to win, probably mid-round stoppage. I think mid-round stoppage. You go look at the girl, the way she fights. She actually does throw her shots quite well. Her punch selection is not bad. Technique on some of the shots isn't bad. The only problem I would say with Bridges is when she gets up a bit close, her footwork can be a bit all over the place. Or when she gets an opponent hurt and is real up close, it can be a bit all over the place. But her uppercut's not bad either. I think that Courtney is definitely faster by the looks of things. But I don't think Courtney's getting dropped and Courtney overcommits as well. So she's getting dropped by Rachel Ball, overcommitting. I think Ebony Bridges might light her up. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Let me click on that. Sorry, mate. That's why I'm getting a new laptop, because this old one is an absolute hunk of shit. It's between it freezing, between it not wanting to do certain things. There we go. Is that? No. There we go. Yeah, that's why I've got a new laptop ordered. This one is a hunk of shit. I'm just going to give it to my mom because it's just a waste. Where are we at? I'm after losing like all the bloody questions now because of that. This laptop, I swear, the sooner the better this new one comes. AJ needs it more. Fury's the ring and WBC linear champion undefeated. That's all that's happening here. Yeah, AJ definitely he wants this. I think both guys do, but I agree with you there, Tio. I think you're right. AJ kind of probably wants it more because he always. I don't mean it like in a disrespectful way, but if it wasn't for Fury, AJ would have still been a world champion. But he was able to become world champion a lot faster because Fury vacated the IBF and he was able to fight Charles Martin for that title. It wasn't vacant. He fought, what was the guy's name? Vodstech or Glasov or something like that. The guy who blew his knee. But he was able to fight AJ not long after. G-Man killing it with the geography. Zimbabwe is in Africa. Southern Africa, near Botswana. See, I'm getting better. Your boy is getting better at geography. You see that there. It's in Africa, it's Southern Africa, which I was right. It's near Botswana, which I was right again. See that? I'm getting better at geography. Before you know it, I'll know every county in the UK. I'll know where they all are. That sort of way? No problem. I know Watford's in Hertfordshire. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, it is Hertfordshire. I know Bournemouth is in the south of the UK. I don't know if that's a county or not. And I know Manchester's in Lancashire. So you see, I'm getting better. Feel sort of sorry for Courtney. I like her over Bridges and can see where you're coming from the laundry talk. She's game, but I can't pick a winner. The general consensus is that Ebony Bridges is Courtney's the favorite, the bookie's favorite, but it seems that Ebony Bridges, more people are picking her in the known. I've seen Shannon Courtney fight plenty of times, and she looks fairly run of the mill. You know, there's nothing that jumps out. She is quite quick. That last knockout she had was actually a decent knockout, to be fair. I've seen some of Bridges' fights. I've seen her second pro fight. I haven't seen her most recent fight, to be fair. But for my money, I've seen a lot of Bridges training. And for my money, she looks a lot more polished. You know, when you're looking at people on the pads, some of them it is kind of deceiving. But I like the fact that she does rotate into the shots. She does get extension on the shots. I'm not always something you want to see. Like, I hate it when I see people on the pads and they're just throwing little arm punches and all that. And it's just like, ugh. Because the pad work is helping your technique. You know, some people say it improves power. It doesn't. I really don't. I would use the pads just to see how your punching technique is. You know, I would use the bag and I'd use the pads as well to be able to get your punching technique good. That's what I'd use them for. I don't use the pads a lot. Like, if I'm training a fighter, I wouldn't use the pads. I mean, like, I've been on the pads loads of times, and it can be okay. But I know it's. Do you know what's better? If you're actually using, if you ever see, like, I think we'll use them for boxing as well. But you know the little foam kind of things, the long foam yokes. I know people use them in swimming, but you can use them for boxing as well. They're actually quite good. You know, if your trainer's trying to like move you with them or throw you on with them, they're actually quite good for drills. See, Canelo used them. They're actually quite good. They're actually quite good. The Canelo say, yeah. That's a good pick. I'm sticking with that. You know, it's either that or it's right there. It's either that or this. I like that one, but I think this is better. You know, sniffing away. Big up to David Copperfield. Great movie. Glad to catch you, man. Big up. Our full crowd's not allowed. They hope for foreign officers. Those officers apparently did not come. Leaving the parties involved now. There's no fight broadcast. Well, I'd imagine, depending on where it is, they'll do it. Like, if they really wanted a full attendance, they could do it in a stadium in Texas, because Texas are having full attendances in, definitely. So if they really wanted to, they could do that. But God only knows what's happening now. God only knows. I'd say I have my suspicions as to what might be going on, but they're only suspicions. I'm just going to keep them there. But it's a bit up in the air. AJ put on his Instagram saying they're trying to make it. I reckon Fury's team are being tight. Yeah, it does appear that way. It seems that Fury's team are the ones who are kind of, I don't want to say stalling. That's the wrong word, but maybe they're not being as helpful as Team AJ, if that's what you mean. I think that's what you mean. Oh, big up to MVG, Michael Van Gerwen, the guy who designed the thumbnail for this live stream. I have to say, I like that thumbnail is actually really, really nice. I like the red, I like the blue and the red. I like it, man. Thank you for that. You know, I've got two guys making thumbnails for me now. So I've got Michael Van Gerwen doing some. I've got a subscriber, Big Dan, doing some. They both reached out to me on Twitter and said, and I was like, here, do you want anything for these? And like Dan was like, nope, it's good. So I'm like, thanks for that. I will gladly use them, because I'm sick of just taking Google images and using them. I want to have it a bit more, you know, my own kind of thing. So I'm glad that I have them now. On the flip side, if Joshua came out and said John and Tyson Fury, I've said he'd been called a bum, that's etc. I can't really understand. I don't really understand. John Fury is someone who I do like to listen to it, to be fair, but he does say an awful lot of, you know what, he does a bit. Eddie Hearn, Eddie really pushing female boxing's card tomorrow. It's almost the female card. Do you know what, right? I think that's more Sky. I think that's more. I think if it was up to Eddie Hearn, he might put only one fight on. Like Savannah Marshall is quite useful. She is, to be fair, but I think that's more Sky. You know, although saying that, no, I think it is more Sky who do that. To be fair, Usyk and Loma are injury prone. Hay bulked up to protect what was left of his body. Yeah, I wonder is it something to do with the style that they train in? You know, like Anatoly Lomachenko trains both guys. I wonder is it something to do with the style? Because both guys, it's actually funny enough. Yeah, you mentioned Loma. He's been injured quite a bit in this time, hasn't he? I wonder if it's something to do with the training they do. You know, I wouldn't imagine necessarily it's the style because that's probably it's more based upon having good footwork as opposed to upper body. But I wonder if there's something that they're doing in training specific to them that they're doing that is causing those injuries. Because it's only you mentioned it, Lomachenko and Usyk have been known for that. Like they have had injuries, injury prone over the last few years. Usyk was 103 kg. Wow, really? I honestly hope that's not the case. I really hope. How much is 103 in pounds? Because I know that's well over 220. What's 103 kg in pounds? 16 stone. Jesus. So he'd be, wow. That's not good, man. I really hope that's not the case. Oh, wow. What is that? I'll bring up that on screen. Someone just giving me 20 quid. Thank you. Where's that? I'll skip. I always make sure to skip for supers. Always. Oh, Karma. Karma Serene. Big up to you. Thanks for dropping in. Good afternoon, lads and lassies. Yes, good afternoon, lads and lassies. Yes, you always got to get that in there. I always say that. Hashtag lads and lassies. Is that the new G-Man saying? Because the old one, G-Man's Rocks, is gone, though. We don't do that no more. So maybe that's the new one. But thank you for that, man. I was 20. That's dollars. Yeah, that is dollars. I was wondering. I didn't say if that was pounds or dollars. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. Supporting the channel. Helping your boy out. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And happy you're in the chat, Karma. Big up to you every time. Back to my decorate. Smash the like button on the way in and support the channel. That helps as well, big time. Smashing the like button. Big up to Nick doing his decoration. Well, it's like 20 to 10 and you're decorating. I mean, my decorations end at like early. I don't decorate much. I'm actually crap at decorating, to be honest with you. That's probably one thing. Whenever someone says, what are you bad at? Two things I'm shit at: football and just DIY in general. Like, I had to, when I started working from home last year, I had to get a desk. And my bedroom is not big. And I got a desk for like 100 and something quid. And my neighbor helped me put it in. And it fits perfectly. And he turns around to me and he's like, wow, your measuring skills are getting a lot better because this desk fit. I said, I didn't measure, I just picked it. I'm just lucky it happens to fit. So that's literally me. And it fits perfect. And as I said, I'm just lucky it happens to fit perfect because if it didn't, I would have been in trouble. Yo, Jono, I forgot you were in the chat here. Big up to you. Big up to Big Boys Boxing. Great channel. Check out Jono. Top class heavyweight news. You and Boxing Squares in New Zealand, two of the best. So big up to Jono. Without fans being disappointed so many times recently, heavyweight undisputed, it's hard not to have doubts over whether it will happen. I still believe it'll happen, mate. You know, I'm still, for whatever reason, I'm still believing it's going to happen, mate. I still am. I do see that Parker is training a lot with Fury lately. In fact, I think, was it him who said they were at a barbecue together or something like that? Jesus, they really are pals. They really are pally. I wonder what is happening with Parker in New Zealand. Do you remember when he left, like, to go train in, because he actually came to Ireland originally, and then he went to the UK. I wonder what's happening in New Zealand with those allegations. I'm just going to call them allegations. I haven't researched them much. Big up to you, Sammy Khan. Big up to you, man. Canelo putting on weight and got better in every category. I'm talking more about heavyweights, though. You see, the lighter weights, or the weights where you're making weight, that's a bit different. because you're getting more towards your actual peak weight. I'm talking about guys who, let's say for argument's sake, I'm just trying to think of someone who really was badly affected by weight gain. I'm just trying to think, because there definitely have been. We'll say like Muhammad Ali, like when he was in the two teens, he was a lot more mobile, a lot more fluid. When he started weighing the 220s, not as fluid, not as good. I know he'd seen better days at that time, but still, I'm talking more about heavyweights because they don't have to make weight, obviously. So there's very few occasions where you'd see a fighter, gain loads of weight, and it could be artificially, it could be down to weight, it could be et cetera, et cetera. But it's very rare that you see them improve. It's different with fighters who are dehydrating. Like I use Tony Bellew as an example. He was getting dropped so much at light heavyweight. He was not knocking as many people out at light heavyweight because he was badly weight drained. He moved up to cruiserweight. He grew into that weight perfectly because that was his natural weight. You should have been that from the start. And he's knocking people out. He's improved a lot more. So that's what I have to say about that. Very different when they're cutting weight because they're getting rid of weight artificially. So when they're moving through the weights and they're getting closer to their natural weight, that's very different. What I mean is if you're walking around at 220 and that's your solid, you are at your best at that weight, and you go up to like 240 for no reason, you don't tend to be as good, for the most part anyway. For the most part. Yoka has great physical technique and talent. Yes, he does. But the very particular style he's using is very flawed. I studied the guy extensively from a tactical point of view. I do think that once he fights someone who will put pressure on him, it's going to be interesting because I know back in the amateurs, that was something that he did struggle with a bit, was when people would put pressure on him. So I'm interested to see how Tony Yoka looks when he fights that pressure fighter. I like his jab. It's a very good, powerful, solid jab that he has. It's got good fundamentals. Seems to have a decent engine. He was able to knock that last guy out in the 12th round. He went 10 rounds with Christian Hammer. Christian Hammer can make anyone look bad. So when I looked at that performance, I didn't necessarily think yay or nay. I just thought, that's Christian Hammer in a nutshell. He can make anyone look bad. He made Povetkin look a bit all over the place. He's just very fiddly. Unless you're Marius Wack, who just knocked him damn near out cold. And that was a much better Christian Hammer at the time as well. That was 10 years. That was an in-shape Christian Hammer as well. It was weird. Vinny Pazienza put on a lot of weight and muscle and reinvented himself in the higher weight divisions. He went from light heavyweight. I remember that Roy Jones fight. That was a hell of a performance from Roy Jones. I remember watching that fight a couple of times. Vinny Pazienza is a good example. And Vinny Pazienza was quite small. He was only about 5'6", 5'7". It's weird when you see small guys in the higher weight divisions and stuff like that. Like, has anyone ever seen Tabisa Machunu? He's a cruiserweight. Very good fighter, Tabisa Machunu. Very, very good fighter. But he's only about, like, people say he's 5'11". No, he's not. He's smaller than that. He's about 5'9", at best. 5'9", at best. And he is very good, very heavily muscled. I think he's rematching Ilunga Makabu next. If anyone's never seen Ilunga Makabu versus Tabisa Machunu, I encourage you to go and watch that fight because that was the fight that got Ilunga Makabu the Bellew fight. And Ilunga Makabu was losing that fight until Tabisa Machunu gaslight. I'm telling you now. And if we'd got Machunu versus Bellew, that would have been interesting at Goodison Park because Machunu is a problem. Machunu's a long-range boxer. Even though he's short, he's primarily long-range. He's defensive. He's very good. That would have been an interesting fight. Very good fight. Only 25 likes. If you could, please smash the old like. Help your boy out a little bit. I only got 23 likes. If you could, smash the like button on the way in or on the way out. Help your boy out. Just, make YouTube happy. They love the likes, So just, if you could, I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. Smash the like button. I'll just leave it there. Evander Holyfield was undisputed at heavyweight and cruiserweight. He was indeed. Only two-weight undisputed in multiple belt era, to my knowledge. I'm thinking here as well. Was there any other? No, there wasn't. There wasn't actually. No, there hasn't been. There hasn't been. Just thinking off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else who has. No, we haven't. We haven't. And I'm just trying to think. If Spence fights Ugas and Crawford fights Spence, he will be. And he beats Spence, I should say. He will be. But that's a big if. And there's a lot of things that go on between then and there that have to happen. But yeah, I can't think of any other two-weight undisputed champion in the modern multi-belt era. I can't think of it, to be honest with you. No, I can't think of it myself. Galata was very good offensive fighter, more skilled than brains. Yeah, Galata would see red mist and he would just lose it, you know. Against Lennox Lewis, it looked like he froze against Lennox Lewis, you know, because people were talking about him as being, you know, one of the best in the world at that stage. You know, a lot of that was mad. You know, he just fell apart against Lennox Lewis. He was knocked out in the round. So Galata was interesting. Galata was useful. You know, he had a bit of talent there. And I remember he said himself, he was at, what was he? He went to America. He was driving trucks or something like that because he wanted to stay amateur, but he eventually turned pro. He was trained by the Duvas. He was trained by Lou Duva. No, he was, because Lou Duva got he wasn't injured, but I think Lou Duva had a few issues when the riots happened in the first bow fight. I remember Lou Duva. I remember he actually said in an interview, he said they were carrying me out on a stretcher, but the guys couldn't hold the stretcher properly. And he was like, fuck, I felt safer walking. And I think because Lou Duva got hurt or something like that, like after the riot and all, and he was like, I felt safer walking. Lou Duva was crazy. I remember when he got in the ring when Meldrick Taylor got stopped against Chavez Jr. and they interview him, and Larry Merchant's there. What do you think? The referee says it was a legit stoppage. Bullshit, I don't believe that. Lou Duva, big up to him. Legend Lou Duva. Dan and Dino Duva as well with main events. Lewis had more hand speed than Bowe. Yeah, Lewis, I think, would have beaten Riddick Bowe, personally. I love Riddick Bowe. I really do. I love watching him. One of my favorite fighters of all time, but I just think Lewis had his number. I just think stylistically Lewis would have just given Bowe. Bowe would have given as good as he got, but I think Lewis would have came out on top. I think Lewis just a bit bad. I think the defense was Bowe's worst, was Bowe's enemy. He just, like, I'll never forget that watching back that Michael Dokes fight and seeing how poor Dokes was at the time. And I was like, Dokes is still able to land fairly basic shots you should be able to see coming. And I was thinking, if Dokes can do that, and bear in mind, this was after he beat Holyfield in the first fight. I was thinking, shit, if Dokes could do that, can you imagine what Lennox Lewis could have done? Bowe was a brilliant in-fighter for such a big man. Yeah, 6'4", 230, 40 pounds in his peak. And he could fight on the inside. Like, it was incredible. Eddie Futch's schooling. Bowe was a largely wasted talent. Great shame. Yeah, Eddie Futch says mentally Bowe wasn't ready for the Lewis fight back then. Eddie Futch even said that. Eddie Futch was a hell of a trainer. You know, trainers like that, I mean, Jesus. Eddie Futch, Angelo Dundee, Brendan Ingle, Emmanuel Stewart. Jesus, there were so many good trainers. So many good that were around back then. Remember, Holyfield was with the Duvas for a while, actually. Holyfield's had more than his fair share. He had the Duvas. He had Emmanuel Stewart for that one fight. He's had a good few. Bowe's best defense was his wrestling and guard manipulation. Yeah, Bowe's defense was not at all good. It wasn't at all good at all. It was sad what happened to Bowe. His wife chuckled him. His wife chuckled him whilst he was away training for the fights, and Rock Newman ended up sleeping with his teenage daughter. Jesus, betrayed by the top of the closest people. Yeah, and Bowe now, it's a sad sight because I don't like listening to Bowe interviews because he can barely string a sentence together. Bowe nearly got knocked out by Herbie Hyde. Well, Herbie Hyde could punch a bit, but Herbie Hyde got bounced up and down off the canvas against Riddick. He was up and down off the canvas. How many? I think was it the commentator or someone said they needed to check Herbie Hyde's knee. because he was hit up and down off the canvas so much. He was getting bounced. I think he was down 5 or 6 times in that fight. He was getting bounced up and down off the canvas for that fight. Holy shit, I remember that. Yeah, Herbie Hyatt had a terrible chin at heavyweight. Absolutely terrible chin. Probably one of the worst in terms of like high level fighters. He had one of the worst chins at heavyweight. Oh my god. Anything could have dropped Herbie Hyatt at heavyweight. Remember, Klitschko knocked him out with a jab. Vitali with a jab. Even the lamb chop. Big up to you, man. Bo was defeated in his life long before his final defeat in the ring. He didn't live the life. I mean, like, weight gain, weight loss, a lot of wars. Those Holyfield fights took it out of him. So Bo was well and truly defeated by the time he fought Galata. They were still good fights. The first fight's better than the second, because really, truly, Bo was gone in the rematch. You know, the rematch was just, he took a beating in that fight, you know, before Galata threw it away, basically. But yeah, no. And I, like I said, like, I always loved Bo. I always love watching him. Callie Reese said, yeah, I seen that as well. I seen Ring IQ say that. Yeah, like, even though she only has 2 KOs, it's not indicative to how hard she hits. She looks to throw a good uppercut as well. I'm going with Bridges to win tomorrow. Like, Mike here says he's got Courtney to win by points tomorrow. I can't see it. I'm genuinely thinking that we're seeing a stoppage from Ebony Bridges. I do. I think we're getting that. I think that it'll stand her in good stead that she's coming off the back of 8 rounds. Like, literally, only, a month ago, she had an 8-rounder. That will stand her in good stead. I'd be more worried about picking Bridges if she hadn't have had that in-between fight, because then it would be over a year out of the ring. So I think that will stand Ebony Bridges in very good stead. Very good stead. I'd love to see a scenario when with Mike Tyson worked with Frank Warren, they were not able to make the Lou Savarese fight. Oh, Jesus. Warren would have put him through the room, let alone, or what was I say? Fight Warren would have put him through the room, let alone about his chin, let alone chin him, man. I'm sure for Lou Savarese, he wishes that fight never happened. I think Mike Tyson was high going into that fight. Like, literally high. If you're so good at geography, where are we looking at if AJ Fury does happen? We're probably looking at Dubai or Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. And I am not good at geography, by the way. That is a joke. I am not at all good at geography. Hell no. Geography is not a good subject of mine. Oh, so Dorset. All right. I did not know that. I thought Bristol was a separate county. I.e., I'm not good at geography. And my geography has always been a bit dodgy. For the most part, some places I'm all right at, but geography, with some parts of geography, I'm just shocking at. Yeah, he would have won the title when he fought Valaev. Yeah, I actually think Holyfield did a better job on Valaev than David Haye did. It always amazed me, and I could never understand this about Valaev. I still can't. He was never a fighter who drew. He was never that popular a fighter, but he always got the gift of, the favorable gift. He had loads of decisions go his way. Marcelo Dominguez, you could argue that John Ruiz beat him a couple of times. Holyfield, the Shagayev fight was a lot closer than it should have been. He had a lot of dubious decisions. And I could understand that if he was a cash cow and they wanted to protect their investment. But Valaev was never that big a draw, and he looked shocking. Like, as I said, Marcelo Dominguez was a fat, overweight cruiserweight. He was 5'9", and he beat Valaev. He didn't get the decision, but he beat him. Go back and watch that fight. I've never seen anything like it. It is quite crazy when I look back at it, and you're seeing this little guy who's just, he looks like someone you'd see in the pub, and he's landing right hand after right hand on a 7-foot tall guy, and he's only 5'9". It's crazy. And Marcelo Dominguez was useful as a cruiserweight. He was WBC champion. He was useful. But at that stage, he shouldn't have been having so much success. I was in Watford last week. The country's pronounced Hertfordshire. I've never been. I really do want to get back to the UK. It's just really, really, really hard. Oh, really? It's not in Lancashire. I thought it was. It's in the northern part of the UK. I know that. I do know that. Yeah, Shannon to get knocked down, lose on points, and sulk like Ronda Rousey. Yeah, Ronda Rousey went to the WWE. Jesus. You know, that's when things are tough. Yeah, Pricey needs a comeback. Yeah, Pricey's always someone who I have a lot of time for. I would gladly watch David Price any day of the week. Even against the journeyman, I'll watch David Price. He's entertainment. He's value for money. There are certain fighters who I just love to watch. Even if they might not be, the best in their division. It's just pricey for entertainment purposes. I will watch David Price. That Cash Ali fight was fun to watch. The Sakalowski fight, these were journeymen. Well, Cash Ali's technically not a journeyman, but these were fights he was winning, but you always felt there was danger. Pricey is just so much fun to watch. He really is. He really is fun to watch. Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Jerry Cooney did a press conference saying AJ ducked Wilder for 50 million. Do we expect the same for Fury? Well, Wilder's team have said that they basically turned the fight down. Because the deals weren't right. They didn't want the zone. They basically said that the contracts were there. They didn't go for it. So I do find it a bit silly for them to say that AJ ducked Wilder. I've met Jerry Cooney in person. Nice guy. I've never met Holyfield or Lewis, but I hope they don't do the same treatment. I think Lewis is pally with the Fury, so I don't think he'd do that. But God knows. You bought a desk. I still work at my dinner table. Yeah, Carver, I tried that for all of a couple of weeks, and I just didn't like it. So I said, no, I have to change. I have to get a desk. And it was money well spent. I'm telling you now, it was money well spent. I flipping love it. And actually, it makes my room nicer. So it was money well spent. I'm definitely glad I got the desk. And I'm glad I didn't waste 15 minutes trying to measure it. I just took a guess and it paid off. Dumb luck. You can't beat dumb luck. It's just flipping brilliant. Dumb luck. It's great. It's the best kind of luck there is. You mean Harley Quinn? Apologies. Yes, I meant Harley Quinn. When I was talking about him earlier, I meant to say Harley Quinn. Hashtag Harley Quinn. Nah. That's only for Bellew videos. We won't go with that. We'll find a new hashtag sooner or later, but we'll stick with we won't go with Harley Quinn. No hashtag Harley Quinn. Okay, so apparently Parker was cleared of any wrongdoing in New Zealand, but he ran away the day before his name suppression was lifted. He may have trouble next time he goes to the States, though. That's what I was wondering. I was wondering about that. Like when he goes, like say he wins and he goes back home, is he going to just waltz into New Zealand and have no issues, or is it? All right, that makes more sense. That was still a bit of a kind of shock when I seen it. I was just like, this Joseph Parker? I was like, it's like Elmo being like convicted of smuggling in America. You know, it's sort of way like it's kind of on par with that. It's just like, really? We talk about the same person here. Florian Marku beats Congo and Meckinson. Yeah, I'd pick Marku over both. Marku still needs to work on a few things. You know, he gets a bit lackadaisical in there. When's Marku out again? Soon, I hope. He does seriously good views. Seriously good views. But he needs to improve on things. Like he gets a bit lackadaisical in there. Like he was doing well, having no problem against Charlton. Best I ever seen in box. He gets a bit sloppy. He gets dropped. Can't be doing that. And Charlton's useful. He can't be doing that. You know? So if he needs to switch it on, stay switched on. I like Marku. He seems cool. He's actually got a bit of ability there, but he just needs to stay switched on. I remember against the guy, Jamie Stewart, the guy he drew with, should have been a win. His own commentary were really bigging him up. And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. He's good. But Jesus, they were saying stick him at world level now. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. Didn't that Eric Pfeiffer guy beat Yoka in the amateurs? He did. No, he did. He beat him, I think, earlier on in Yoka's career. I remember that. He fought a good few names in the amateurs, did Eric Pfeiffer. That's why I was surprised to see how badly, like, I mean, like Nick Webb is useful, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't, on short notice, I thought Pfeiffer would be all right, but Jesus. it makes you wonder why Dubois didn't go ahead with that fight, because they would have blown him out in a couple of rounds. Ennis 146, Lipinets 146. I think Jordan Ennis is going to win that fight. I rate Jordan Ennis very highly, very highly. I'm going with late stoppage for Jordan Ennis. Him and Virgil Ortiz, those two are just, they are my two prospects. Those two guys are fantastic, I think. I really like watching both them guys. I do remember that. I actually thought that, do you know something, right? I was saying early on, because if people were picking Christian Hammer to win that, and I was like, yeah, but Hammer is so inconsistent with his weight that you give him a short notice, he's going to turn up. Like we talk about Dave Allen, but Hammer would have turned up fat as a pig. And I actually would have given Dave Allen a shot in that. But when I look back and see how poor Dave Allen looks in sparring and stuff, that would have been a pick 'em fight. Allen would have beat Lovejoy. Don't get me wrong. I've always got time for Lovejoy on this channel because he's funny as hell. But, well, his record is just so padded. It's funny as hell. But Allen would have beat Lovejoy. Jody, big up. Thank you for the £3. Akali versus Breedis. Who do you got? Yeah, thanks for that. I tell you one thing, right? I tell you one day, right? Someday, I'm going to get a £5 super chat. And I will use that to buy a bottle of Echo Falls. I've never had it, never tried it. But someday, I'm not going to do it. But I'm just going to wait. Someone's going to give me bang on £5. I'm not saying do it now. But someday, maybe on a Sunday stream, I'll see it and I'll be like, right, that's the Echo Falls money. And I'll go into Tesco or somewhere and buy a bottle. Because people keep telling me it's shit. But I'm just curious. Do you know when you see someone drink something so much and you just get curious? You're just like, I want to try it. And people keep telling me, don't, it's shit. But I'm just like, yeah, I know, but I'm just curious. You know, you get that curiosity. But yeah, thanks for that. In terms of Akali Breedis, you know something? I would go against the Grapevine. I actually think I'd give Akali a good shot in that. I think that Breedis, I didn't realize Breedis was 35. He's 6'1". I think Akali, if he keeps it at range, he could beat Breedis on points. Breedis is very good, though. He's very good, very versatile. So he's got a shot, but his inside game is not bad, Breedis, as well. But I would give I'd pick Akali in that fight. I would. If you could, lads, please, if you all could, it would really, 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 really help me out. If you could, smash the like button. I'd appreciate that an awful lot. But thank you, Jody, for the £3. Every little bit helps. Thanks for that. I appreciate that a lot. Dokes went to sleep for 5 minutes against Razor Ruddock. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that, actually. That was actually a good little that was a good little knockout. Razor Ruddock was useful. He was. He had that good left hook, but I think his punch resistance was that. Razor Ruddock only fought a couple of years ago, and he got knocked out. He really did. He really was, and he was way past. G-Man, you think a prime Froch could box 15 rounds? Oh, hell yeah, he could. No, he definitely could do 15 rounds. Froch is one of the best conditioned athletes I've seen in terms of boxing. Like, Froch could put it on anyone in the 12th round, and he still had the tank for it. You can say what you want about Froch. He can be a bit annoying. He can troll fighters. You know, we can say a lot of silly things, but his conditioning was second to none. And he could do 15 rounds. If you put him in a 15-rounder, I'm telling you now, he'd still be swinging for the fences in the 15th round. He definitely could. G-Man, when Lewis Bowe was first talked about, Lewis was still quite sloppy under Pepe Correa. Yeah, Lewis said by his own admission that he trained with Pepe Correa because Pepe Correa was Sugar Ray Leonard's coach at one stage, and he really loved Sugar Ray Leonard. I see what Joe Stunner's done there. And I'm telling you now, Joe, I will take that. Not on Sunday, right? On Sunday, Echo Falls, I will. Or I'll post a bit, whatever. We'll do so. I will buy it on that. £5. It's the same price here for Echo Falls. Because I'm curious, and I will do it. Whether I do it on a live stream or in a video, you will see me with a glass of Echo Falls, and I'll even show you the bottle just to show you that it's there. But I will, because I'm just curious. But you said there, you tried Echo Falls for the first time last week, and yes, it's piss. people keep telling me that, but you're a bit like me, aren't you? You're just curious. You see him drink it and drink it and drink it, and you're just like, I wonder what it tastes like. I think Dell told me it was piss, and I think one of the lads has tried it because I said, "Do you ever drink this drink Echo?" Because I showed him a little clip of Tiny and Boot, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Echo Falls is piss," and I was like, "Well, I'm still gonna try it." How bad could it be? Like you say, how bad could it really be? Like, I mean, you drink it once and it's over. I mean, it can't be that bad. So I'll go into Tesco's and buy a bottle, and we'll see. If it's bad, so be it. If it's not, we could have a new favorite drink. We could have a new favorite drink. You ever think? Because I'm not really a wine guy. In fact, actually, like I like red wine, but I find it gives me horrible pains the next day. Although this isn't really a red wine. It's more kind of a sweetened kind of thing. I know that, but we're going to give it a go. I appreciate that. And as I said, whether it's on the Sunday live stream or whether it's in a video, I will grab that bottle of Echo Falls and I'll be like, there you go. I will try it. I'll even take a sip live and see what happens. But you see, there is one thing though. There's different strains of it. There's different percentages of it. I think he's drinking the weak one, the like 5%. And then there's 9%. But I'll definitely go with the 5% one he drinks just to try it out. And who knows, I might end up liking it. Echo Falls. I'll feel like Tyann Boot up in here. I'll be like, yeah, your boy is Tyann Boot. Look at this. Echo Falls. Pretty stunned when KO. That's something I always do. Michelle Pfeiffer. I keep thinking of it. Whenever I see his name, like, oh, Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah. She was a Catwoman in Batman, the original Batman movies, the Tim Burton Batmans. Michelle Pfeiffer. I keep thinking that when I see Eric Pfeiffer, I'm like, oh yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Need to be Tyann would be perfect for that. Yeah, I know. I'll wear the Be Safe t-shirt and everything. Echo Falls isn't great. Yeah, so people are saying. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there. I still have that video saved, actually. I don't put that on the intro much these days. I still have that. Might put it on the next video. Where was it, G-Man? I reckon he puts soft juice in the bottle. In the piss bottle or, oh no, in the Echo. It's hard to say. Did I bet on the Grand National? No, I didn't bet on the Grand. See, I'm not really in. I bet loads of times, but I'm not a big better, and I'm not great at horse racing. I mean, like, I think I told the story as well, but I'll tell it again. On Paddy's Day at Cheltenham, all the lads said put like a £5. I think it was like 5 or 10 quid on this 40-1 horse both ways. And of course, I did it, and I was like, oh, it's gone up by like £5. Like, this was after like the first hurdle. I think I had like 15 quid return if I cashed out. And I turned to my mate and I said, so if I cash out now, he's like, oh, you've made a profit of about 10 quid. So I cashed out thinking, oh, happy days, because he's 40-1, he's not going to win. And they looked at me and they were like, what the hell did you do that for? I was like, well, I've made a profit of 5 quid. And they were like, yeah, wait till the end, because we're getting tips on this guy for a reason. And he came second. I would have got 100 quid if I kept him. And they said, that's why you don't cash out. And I learned a valuable lesson. Don't cash out after the first hurdle, because 5 quid could turn into 100 quid. And I learned, well, I made up for it that day. I made up for it later on that day. But yeah, lesson learned. Lesson learned. Only 29 likes. Hit the like button for the chat. Yes, please, if you could. 47 in the chat and only 27 likes. If you could hit the like button, I greatly appreciate it. Even if you just get to 30 likes, 30, 40 likes, I'm a happy boy. Echo Falls can't be as bad as Lambrini. Never even heard of that, mate. I've never even heard of Lambrini. Well, what is that, like a liqueur or what is that? I've never even heard of Lambrini. You sure it's not Martini? Yeah, Martini. I think that's what it's called. Tyann is drinking that shit because it contributes to the comical element. Yeah, I think he's just kind of got sold on the Echo Falls now at this stage. People are just used to him. You hear him and you hear Echo Falls in that voice. A bottle of Echo Falls. Yeah, thanks for that. Anyone seeing the gloves are off thing and Matchroom posted? Yeah, I didn't see it, but I seen like pictures of it on Twitter and all. I wasn't gonna watch that. To be fair, wasn't something that I don't watch a lot of gloves are off anyway. Like even if it's no matter who's on, I don't tend to watch it a lot. To be honest with you, so I seen it, but I'm not gonna watch it. I don't watch a lot of gloves are off anyway. To be honest with you, irrespective. And it was Adam Smith. I mean, that was just you had Adam Smith with two females there, and he's doing the gloves are off. I mean, that was a recipe for disaster right there. Jesus Christ. That's a recipe for Lambini, the cheapest of Chaplonk. But I'm telling you now, really, oh Jesus. I'm still gonna try it. I will get the bottle. I will I'm gonna order it now. That's what I'm actually gonna do. I'm gonna order it now. A bottle of Echo Falls. I'm gonna go online. I'm gonna order it now. And carry out. Or I'll go with it. See, there's no Tesco. Well, there is a Tesco actually, but it's like a 15-minute drive. I'm gonna order that right now. Now I'm assuming they're gonna charge me more than just a $5. They'll probably tell me you need to get more than this. But Echo Falls, where are we? Yeah, we want this. Yes, this is what we want. So we're gonna try and where's the fuck? Yes, we want to order it. Echo Falls. Lambini is pear and peach. Oh, it's cider. Oh, good luck. No, man, I do not like cider at all. I don't like cider at all whatsoever. It doesn't matter who or what or whatever it is. I cannot drink cider. It is not nice at all. So that won't be happening. No way. Never going near me. Drink Bordeaux French wine like civilized people. I say I don't really drink wine. Like I'm very simple. I just like Coors Light, or I actually started trying Smithwick's. They do an ale, and that's actually really, really nice. I had a few sips of that. When did I have it? I had a few sips of it there on Sunday. It's actually really nice. It made me regret not buying more because I just seen it for like a couple of quid in the shop, and I said, "Oh, I'll buy that." And I really regretted not buying more because it was actually really, really nice, and really easy to drink as well. Did I see the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League? No, I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's good. I heard a few people say it's good. I haven't seen it yet. I will see it though. I didn't like Batman versus Superman though. That's one thing I will say, but I'm definitely going to have a look see at that. Definitely. We need to see how that goes. But I don't watch a lot of TV. I need to be reminded constantly of what's on, when and where it's on. But definitely I'm going to watch that because Justice League is all right. I don't really like Batman though. It's weird. I've never liked him as Batman. I'm a big fan of Christian Bale as Batman. He's my favorite. And I know it's long, it's 4 hours, but I don't know. I've just never been a fan of Ben Affleck as Batman. His Batman just doesn't do it for me. I much prefer Christian Bale as Batman. For me, he's definitely my go-to Batman guy. What, that product's not available? I will get that Echo Falls, mark my words. It's happening, mate. It's happening. Should have been. Oh, jeez, could you imagine? I'd say Coogan is absolutely loving life with all these around him. I'd say he is absolutely just in his element. Oh yeah. So, G-Man, who do you got, Chisora or Parker? Right now I'm going with Parker. I always try and not be too reactionary. I think I was a bit too reactionary about the loss Parker had, or not the loss, the loss about the fight he had with naming the guy, naming the guy, what's his name, Junior Fa. I think I was a bit too reactionary, and I was like, oh well, Chisora will win. No, I'm still going with Parker to beat Chisora. I think Parker's a bit more versatile than Chisora is at this stage, so that's what I got to say on that. But it's a good fight either way. It's a good fight, but I'm going with Parker to win. I think he'll win it on points, personally. I haven't seen the Suicide Squad trailer. Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. I did actually, I tell a lie, with regards to I seen the Joker part. And to be fair, he looks a lot better this Joker than he did the last time. What was it, Jared Leto? He looks better this time than he did. You could see he was trying. There was elements of Ledger's Joker there. You could hear by the voice he was putting on. I was like, there's elements of there's elements of Heath Ledger's Joker there. You could tell from the voice. There's a few little snippets of Ledger in there. You can tell the little things he was saying. No one's ever going to top Ledger's Joker. No way. Never in a million years. Have you ever seen Wonder Woman? I only watched it for Gal Gadot. She could have had me missed out there, didn't you, love? I never seen Wonder Woman. I've seen like snippets of it online, but I've never watched the movie. Never have. I never really watched much of Wonder Woman when I was a kid. I was always a Batman fan. Like ever since I was a kid, I've always loved Batman. I watched the animated series when I was a kid. I watched all the movies. I've always been a big fan of Batman. That's one thing that's always stuck with me. I've always loved it. I don't know why. I know you don't like talking drama on your channel, but what you make of Mark's stream this morning? I seen it. I had to listen to it. I see where he's coming from. I don't get into any of that, mate. To be honest with you, like I like just talking boxing. And obviously, like if you want to chuck a few little bits in, like talk about a movie or something like that, or a drink or something, I'm fine with that as well. But in terms, me, like I tend to just keep one side. I don't go in. It's not really me, mate. Like I do this for the fun of it. Like I enjoy fun. I like talking to you guys. I like talking about boxing. If other people want to do that and talk about this, he said that's their prerogative. They can do that. But for me, it's just like let's just keep it boxing, have a laugh at these live streams, and that's it. That's it. I did have a listen. I listened to all Mark's videos. I had to listen to it this morning. I know what it was stemming from. I remember him on Beats' stream the other night. I heard about that, but look, I may heads or tails if I just stick to keep to my own, man. The next Batman looks awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for it, mate. Honestly, it's going to be great. I had doubts about Robert Pattinson, and I do still, but he's definitely looking a lot better. He's definitely growing on me as Batman now. I still have a few doubts of Robert Pattinson's Batman, but we'll wait and see. The character, the Riddler, looked good. Even though we haven't seen him in full, he looks sinister as fuck. So that's going to be good. And the guy playing him is a very good actor, so I'm looking forward to that. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. Did not see the light till I was a man. Yeah, big up to Bane. Big up to Bane every single time. Big up to Bane. Yeah, no, I never really liked The Dark Knight Rises. I say I don't like it. I do. I like The Dark Knight Rises. It's a great movie. But it's my least favorite out of the trilogy. It's my least favorite out of that trilogy. Who is Mark? Mark is Unrivaled Boxing. If you don't know, go over and check out his channel. It's an excellent channel. It's one of my favorites. One of the best on YouTube by an absolute country mile. Is Unrivaled. But yeah, like I don't like The Dark Knight as much as I do. As much as I basically do, The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. They're my favorites. And that's not to say The Dark Knight Rises is not a good movie. It is. But it's a long movie. There's a lot going on in it. It can be a bit, it's not hard to follow, but the original plan for that movie was to have Leonardo DiCaprio play the Riddler. Holy shit, that would have been amazing. And I loved, Tom Hardy as Bane. It was a great movie. But holy shit, could you imagine Leonardo DiCaprio as the Riddler? That would have been epic. That would have been epic. That was the plan for that. That's what the producers wanted. But Christopher Nolan was adamant. He wanted Ra's al Ghul, who was kind of like, what would you say? He was like an adversary to Batman in terms of, I forget exactly what he said, but basically whatever Ra's al Ghul was, that was what he was to Batman. The Joker was the mental side of Batman, so he couldn't really outsmart the Joker. And Bane was the physical side. So that's where he wanted to keep it. So I forget what Ra's al Ghul was meant to be, but he wanted the Joker to be Batman's mental adversary, Bane his physical adversary. I forget what Ra's al Ghul's adversary was meant to be, but that was what he wanted. So he didn't want the Riddler. But damn, Leonardo DiCaprio was the Riddler would have been amazing. You know, Bale's voice was perfect in the first movie, but they kind of messed it up after the second. They made him re-record all his not his they made him voice over all his things in the Batman in the second movie. I think the first his first voice was brilliant. I've never seen Venom. I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, to be honest with you, mate. Like I've never seen Venom. I haven't seen any of the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. I haven't seen a Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. Never been a big fan of him, to be honest with you. I know Tom Hardy played Venom, but I preferred I definitely preferred him and I definitely prefer Batman just as a nutshell. And in terms of like DC movies, like a member of the League of Shadows, what was it? I'll go back to that in a sec, mate. What was that it said? Member of the League, and you betrayed us. Yeah, I remember that. Like, don't get me wrong, Dark Knight Rises was a great movie. And I like the way I like the way they incorporated stuff from the. What I love is they incorporate so much from the first movie to the third, but the second movie is just like standalone. There's no League of Shadows. There's no any of that. It's just the Joker causing havoc. That's what I like about the second movie. That's why it's so good. Have you ever seen Breaking Bad? If so, I think of it personally. I loved it. Many years ago, I think about 2013, I remember watching an episode of it and liking it. And for some reason, I liked it. Don't get me wrong, I did like it, but for whatever reason, I just never watched it. I will go back eventually and try and watch it again because I did like the first episode. I'm not much of a series guy. I like movies more so, but I do remember thinking that this was actually a good little series just based on the first episode. And normally I don't. Normally I can make it. I know some people say you shouldn't do that, but I normally tend to see if a show is good based on the first episode. Like, I mean, there's been several shows I've watched after one episode. I'm interested, and there's others like Game of Thrones that I'm just not interested in after one episode. I'm just like, this is not for me. Not the same universe with Spider-Man in the last bit. Oh yeah, I'll have to give Venom a look because I'm again like I know Venom is a Spider-Man villain. I know he is, but I've never been much of a fan of Spider-Man, to be honest with you. I've always been a Batman guy, and I don't really like Superman, but I thought Man of Steel was a good movie. Some people don't like that movie. I liked it. I thought Man of Steel was good. There's moments in it where it is a bit boring. It is, but for the most part, Man of Steel I think is actually a decent watch. How big does sorry, I'll read that. How big does it doesn't really affect us at all, to be honest with you, mate. It literally is. It doesn't affect Ireland at all whatsoever. Not that I know of, anyway. I mean, like, literally, I don't think. I think it was on the news briefly, and then that was it. That's literally how they reported today. So it doesn't really affect us over here, to be honest with you, mate. Breaking Bad is the best American TV series I have ever seen, even better than The Wire. Yeah, The Wire is another one that I need to watch. So well crafted, complex, written, and acted. Yeah, I know the actors. It's hard to believe that he was Brian Carson. I forget. It's hard to believe he was in Malcolm in the Middle. I watched Malcolm in the Middle years and years and years when I was a kid, and he was Hal from Malcolm in the Middle to go on to being Breaking Bad is crazy. Because obviously I haven't watched the whole series, but I know what Breaking Bad is about. Obviously I know what it's about, but it's crazy to go from that to that. And Hal in Malcolm in the Middle was a good character. That was a good character. That was actually a good show, Malcolm in the Middle. I used to like that show. Bridges, definitely. Bridges, definitely. I watched the good few episodes of Dexter. It was good. It was good. I never finished it, but I watched the good few episodes of Dexter years ago. It was a good little show. I watched it when it was on like FX in Ireland on Sky. Like, that's what I think that was the name of the station. They used to show. It was an old station. They used to show loads of stuff. Brian Carson. I wish they were together more. Yeah, Brian Carson's a hell of an actor. He can pull off a lot of roles. Like, I mean, it's very rare. See, when you see guys who are all a comedy, like, and that character in Malcolm Middle was a comedy character. Well, Hal wasn't full, but it was a comedy show. To pull off someone like Breaking Bad, I mean, like, they look, even to the way they look, they don't look anything alike. You'd never think that was Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. It's crazy. Lads and lassies, hour and 45. We went long tonight. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed having a nice chat. But lads, I'm going to end it here. I've actually ordered a bottle of Echo Falls. Whenever it gets here, I will drink that on a video or on stream, one or the other. One or the other. But big up to everyone in the chat. Gonna end it here. We're definitely going to do a live stream on Sunday, and we're going to talk about how Ben looked. How Ben looked. I think he'll win, but he's going to have some rough moments in there. I'm telling you now, he's not going to have it all his own way tomorrow. Big up to Joe. Big up to everyone, lads and lasses. If he's good on the way out, I'd appreciate it if you could smash the like button. Just helps the channel out, helps it grow. For now, enjoy your Friday. Let's enjoy the fights tomorrow. We'll get some vids out. I'll talk to you then. Peace out.